The deeper Charity Okoye walked into the forest, the stranger the world became. The air grew cold and heavy, like the trees themselves were holding their breath. Moonlight barely touched the ground now, blocked by tall iroko and palm trees that twisted toward the sky like giant fingers. Charity's heart pounded loudly in her ears. Her living shadow walked beside her like a silent companion. Suddenly the forest became completely still. No insects. No wind. Not even the rustling of leaves. Charity stopped walking. Because something ahead had just moved. Something huge. Something watching. From between the giant trees, the ground began to darken. The darkness gathered into one place. Then it rose. A massive shape formed, taller than the trees, swirling like living smoke. Two glowing white eyes opened in the darkness. The King of Shadows had arrived, its voice rumbled like thunder across the forest floor. Charity Okoye. The girl froze. How do you know my name? The creature leaned closer. Because I have been waiting for you. Since the night you were born. Charity stepped backward, her voice trembling. You've been stealing people's shadows. The creature laughed, a deep, echoing sound that shook the leaves. I do not steal them. The giant shadow opened its chest-like form. Inside, dozens of glowing shadows floated like trapped spirits. They come to me willingly. Charity shook her head. That's not true. The creature's eyes burned brighter. Humans abandon their dreams, their courage, their hope. And when they do, their shadows belong to me. Charity suddenly realized something terrifying. The creature fed on lost courage. The King of Shadows slowly lowered its enormous form closer to Charity. But you are different, it said. You have the strongest shadow I have ever seen. Charity felt her shadow stiffen beside her. The creature stretched out a long smoky hand. Give it to me willingly. And I will spare your village. Charity's heart pounded. You want my shadow? The creature smiled. With your shadow, I will become unstoppable. Charity looked down at her shadow. It stepped forward suddenly. And spoke. Do not trust him. The creature's glowing eyes narrowed. The shadow continued. There is something he hasn't told you. Charity looked between them nervously. What is it? The shadow turned slowly toward the giant monster. Tell her the truth. You are not just the King of Shadows. You are her shadow's father. The forest went silent. The creature slowly straightened. For the first time, it did not look angry. Long ago, it explained, the world had been balanced. Humans and shadows lived together peacefully. But humans began to ignore their shadows, ignoring their courage, their dreams, their truth. The creature had once been a guardian of shadows. Until it grew bitter, and began collecting them instead. Charity whispered softly. You became the monster. The creature's eyes flickered. Yes. Suddenly the creature lunged forward. It grabbed Charity's shadow. The ground exploded with darkness. Charity screamed as shadows whipped around her like storm winds. But her shadow fought back. The glowing blue flame from the shrine suddenly burst from Charity's hands. Light collided with darkness. The forest shook. This was no longer a conversation. This was war. Suddenly understood something. The creature did not grow stronger from shadows. It grew stronger from fear. And the village had been terrified. But if she stopped being afraid, the creature would weaken. Charity closed her eyes. Her shadow stepped forward. Together they stood calmly in the storm of darkness. And the giant monster suddenly began to shrink. The King of Shadows stared down at Charity. For the first time, it looked tired. You have chosen courage, it said quietly. Yes, Charity replied. The creature slowly dissolved into hundreds of free shadows that scattered across the forest like birds returning home. The trapped shadows escaped into the night sky. Back toward the village. Back to their people. The king of shadows was gone. But the legend of the girl who faced him had just begun. As Charity walked back toward the village, her shadow followed normally again. But just before reaching home, it paused. And for a brief second, it looked back toward the forest. Because somewhere deep in the darkness, a new shadow had started growing. If you discovered your shadow had its own mind, would you trust it? Let me know your honest opinion on the comment section. Behind her on the dusty forest path, her shadow pauses and turns its head back toward the dark forest, slightly separate from her body as if it has a mind of its own. In the deep jungle behind them, faint mysterious darkness gathers between tall trees, suggesting a new shadow presence forming far away. Fireflies glow softly in the air, mist drifting along the ground, cinematic moonlight beams cutting through the trees.